Hi everyone, Will here from the St. Johns County Public Library System, and we're back for another edition of Quirky History. This one was pretty fun to build. It's something that I enjoyed doing as a kid, so I hope you enjoy it as well. So let's jump right into it. This edition of Quirky History is talking about skateboards and their history. Where did skateboards come from? Why are skateboards even a thing? So the first devices we could consider skateboards are wooden boxes or boards that had roller skate wheels. So if you've seen the original Back to the Future, when Marty McFly goes back to the 50s, you have this kid on this like homemade kind of scooter looking device. When he rips off that box and makes the skateboard, that's kind of what an original skateboard would have looked like. Roller skate wheels were used primarily because there's lack of availability of other types of wheels appropriate to make this. Rollerblades didn't exist. We didn't have skateboarding wheels because they didn't exist. So the creators used what they had on hand to make this device. Modern skateboards were made sometime in the 40s or 50s. It's really hard to pinpoint exactly when the first person had the idea to make a skateboard. We're not even really sure who the first person was. And they made these to sidewalk surf. So surfers created skateboards in order to still surf when waves are flat. By the time we get to the 1960s, because surfers were so heavily involved in skateboarding, they were actually building skateboards that looked like small surfboards. And because this was the type of surfing, they usually were barefooted while skateboarding. I can't imagine this would have been super comfortable if you happened to mess up, but it worked out for them, it seems, with relatively little to no injuries. And again, they're just basically surfing on the sidewalk. So this is pre some of the tricks you see today, like in the X Games and stuff like that. And some of these skateboarders actually appeared in the 1964 television show Surf's Up. So this helped popularize not only surfing, but skateboarding as well. So in the 1970s, Frank Nasworthy created a wheel out of polyurethane, which equaled better traction and performance. So this is the first time we get that stereotypical skateboard wheel that we're used to today. And importantly, trucks were also first created especially for skateboards. So if you can see my cursor here, this right here, the wheels are connected to, is a truck. It allows you to have more maneuverability and to do some things you couldn't really do with the early skateboard prototypes. The 1970s also sees the rise of Verts skateboarding created by the Z-Boys and empty California poles. So Verts just short for vertical. This is when you see people start using things with inclines that allow them to get some air. We don't have half pipes yet, but an empty pool can create pretty good speed and allow to do some tricks that they weren't doing before. The ollie was also invented in 1976 by Alan Ollie Gelfand. The ollie is a jump that takes all four wheels off of the surface you're on, and you're usually on a flat surface like a sidewalk or something. So you start to see the invention of these tricks, and vert skateboarding and ollie are two mainstays that every skateboarder uses today, especially if they're going to do any sort of trick skateboarding. By the 1980s, skateboard companies are now run by skateboarders themselves. So the skateboards start to get better. Skateboarders know what they want in a board. Boarders are now really able to perform aerial tricks from ramps. And pioneers like Rodney Mullen create the impossible and the kickflip, which are two pretty standard tricks today. And freestyle skateboarding takes off. So if you played any of the Tony Hawk games, which I loved as a kid, These are all standard tricks that come in the game. You have different skateboarders, you have different styles, and freestyle skateboarding is something that skateboarders will specialize in. So the 1980s are really when skateboarding takes the form that we recognize it as today. By the 1990s, streetboarding becomes super popular, and it's no longer just used for tricks. People are using it for transportation as well. And skateboard design standardizes. So this guy right here has a pretty traditional skateboard that you're going to use if you're doing, especially if you want to do tricks. I know there's long boards and short boards today that are mainly for gliding. But if you want a standard skateboard that is multifunctional, not just for transportation, but you also want to try your hand at tricks, this is the type of skateboard that you're going to use. It is raised on both ends to allow you to flip it up when needed. And by today, skateboarding is actually going to become an Olympic sport. It was already in X Games and stuff like that. It was supposed to be in the summer 2020 Olympics, but because of the pandemic, the Olympics have been postponed a year. But skateboarding is supposed to make its debut in the Olympics. Many communities have skate parks that are also used by other sports, so it can be used by rollerbladers. You see people on little razor scooters, bikes, and sometimes the park has other areas that you can use for multi-purpose other types of sports. Skateboarding is now $1 billion industry, thanks in part to people like Tony Hawk and some of the original big name skateboarders we recognize today, for making it accessible to kids, even if they don't necessarily have a skateboard or if they're that good at it. And there's over 11 million skateboarders worldwide. So this is not just an American pastime. Many different peoples around the world enjoy having a skateboard for various forms of entertainment. And that was a really, really, really quick down and dirty history of skateboarding from its origins to where the industry is at today. I enjoyed skateboarding as a kid. I got my first skateboard when I was 5, I believe, and I had one for most of my childhood. I was never really good at it, but it was still something really fun, and I enjoy seeing those who are definitely more talented than I was pursue that as a career. So if you have any suggestions for any other Quirky histories, please comment below. If you like this, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.